Hey, how's it going, YouTube? Jacob back here for the J2H channel, and today we have another follow-up ranking video. So not only is this a follow-up to a review I did, actually 2 or 3 reviews I did, it's also the second ranking since I've revitalized this series after I ranked my X-Men films. Though this will be completely different because today we are ranking the Rocky films and the Creed films, basically the Rocky franchise of what I consider. Little bit of backstory here before we get started. I was not familiar with the Rocky series. I mean, everybody is. You hear about these movies. My dad was a huge fan. I'd never watched a Rocky film in its entirety until last summer when they released the Rocky the Ultimate Collection, which has the first 4 films on 4K. I'd rewatched those first 4. I bought a Blu-ray set to watch 5 and 6. Watched Creed 1 and 2 because then Warner Brothers released Creed 3, and I got a copy of that. So I have since watched all of them. I've only watched them all once, so these are my initial rankings. The only one I've seen twice was Rocky 4 because of the Rocky versus Drago cut, which I will not rank. To me, Rocky 4 is Rocky 4 no matter what cut of the film that is. It also didn't change my rankings, so don't be afraid of that. But as always with these ranking videos, these are my opinions. They're not based in fact, they're based in opinion. It may not be the best film as number 1. It's usually my favorite. Hopefully those correspond, but you never really know. I think in this case, my favorite is not the best film. It's just my personal favorite. I think the best film is actually 2, 3, 4, whatever spot it landed. I'm not sure, but we'll get into that. Like I said, these are all up for interpretations, and feel free to leave yours in the description. But we're going to get into this. I don't own them all individually, so some of them I'll have to supplement with images on the screen and my sticky notes here because I have most of them, but they're really all in sets. So the last film in the franchise, or the weakest entry, and it's the 9th film, ranked number 9 of 9, is Rocky 5. So Rocky 5 to me is the only real entrant in this list that is a tough watch. This is the only one where I was like, I kind of don't need this one on 4K. Kind of don't need to own it if it wasn't for the complete set. Rocky 5 to me was pretty painful. It was kind of like, why are we doing this? I kept waiting for a boxing match to happen, and Rocky just kind of fights in the street and it's over, and you have to be okay with that. And I understand why they made Rocky Balboa now, because Rocky 5, there's such a difference between the 9th film and the 8th film. Everything 8 and up is really good. I can't wait to watch a second time. Rocky 5 is like the Halloween Kills of the Rocky films. That's all I'll say about that. Not a fan in any way. So then next up, like I said, there's a considerable gap between these two films, because I don't want you to think I'm not a fan of this film, because I am. But it's just, of the others, it happens to be ranked number 8, and that can be found here in this nifty set, and that is Rocky Balboa down there. So Rocky Balboa is a good entry. It's a solid entry. It would be a good swan song. It really would. If Rocky Balboa was the last Rocky film ever, or the last film ever to feature Rocky, Sylvester Stallone's character, it would be a great send-off. Sometimes, though, the final part is just, we've seen so many of the things before, and the final send-off to me will always be the first Creed movie, which, as you can tell, is much higher. So Rocky Balboa, still very good, and like I said, don't get it, say like, oh, Rocky Balboa is the second worst Rocky film. Yeah, but it's compared to Rocky 5. Like, there's a 2-star almost difference between the two films, in my opinion. So also check out my review of this set if you haven't yet. It is the only one containing all 6 films, and the current one that I will be keeping in my possession. And then we get to the latest in the Creed franchise. So Creed 3. Again, nothing wrong with Creed 3 in any way. I actually like the intrigue and the Adonis character. This is Jonathan Majors, pre-canceled Jonathan Majors in this. Remember, this was a big deal when it came out, but it's also like the first Creed film without Sylvester, or the Creed / Rocky franchise film without Sylvester Stallone involved at all. So you have that controversy, and I think, in my opinion, it kind of suffers for that. Maybe Sylvester Stallone is integral to these. This is a great film, and if they continue, or this is a good film, and if they continued like this, I think they would still do okay. I just think if you want to be great, maybe you do need Sly in there. So Creed 3 there at number, I've already lost count, 9, 8, 7. Next up, this one's sort of not a controversial pick, but Rocky 4, which has 2 cuts. Rocky 4 was the first dip kind of in quality for me. Rocky 4 has different aspects to it. There's the propaganda aspect and the soundtrack. By the way, I absolutely love the soundtrack for Rocky 4. I did not grow up in the 80s by any means, or even the 90s. I'm not sure when this movie came out, but the soundtrack is amazing. There's so many hits. The montages are great, and there's so much good about Rocky 4 that I think is good. Some of it's a little corny. But then everything else, Apollo Creed dying in the ring, spoilers. Like, okay, are you kidding me? Come on now. Can we have some realm of real here? You know, he punched his sword, he killed a guy. Come on. So there's that give and take with Rocky 4, and I understand there has to be huge villains in movies, but there's 9 of these boxing films, and one guy died one time from boxing. That doesn't happen that often in boxing. I don't know I can't think of one specific incident. I'm sure there are, but I can't think of one. So that's why Rocky 4 is kind of in that middle water. But again, after you make 3 of the same film, I'm sure it gets hard. And like I said, the montages are fantastic. I have the CD in my car. I liked it so much. Big point in its favor. And then we follow up with Creed 2, which is a solid entry. It's very, very much a worthwhile sequel to Creed. It's still in the same vein as the Rocky franchise. You've got, speaking of Rocky 4, you've got Drago and his kid in here. I like the aspect of, I think it was Creed 2. I think this is the one where he loses in the beginning and he has to come back type thing. If I recall, like I said, I watched these kind of all interchangeably. But I really enjoyed Creed 2. Not as much as Creed 1, but more than Creed 3, which is, it's weird how that works, with a trilogy, 1, 2, 3. They can be ranked linearly like that. But I liked Creed 2, I really did. Next up, and probably the most controversial of this, I can already feel like the lynch mob here, but Rocky 1, the original Rocky film. And to preface this, Rocky 1 is fantastic for what it did for sports movies. Sylvester Stallone and this entire franchise is not possible without Rocky 1. It's amazing. It's a fantastic story. But to me, it's not really a boxing film. There was a lot more. My perceptions of Rocky, considering there's 9 movies, going into Rocky 1 was this great, almost like a Raging Al, which again I haven't seen, so maybe that's a wrong comparison, film about like a boxer coming up and seeing his career path, whereas we see a lot of Rocky and Adrian and Rocky and Paulie and his backstory, a lot of his backstory, but not as much of the training or actual boxing. Like the actual boxing scene is way shorter than I would have anticipated, and way shorter than every other film that succeeds it. But to me, it's very enjoyable. But when you're watching the Rocky films, it's for fantastic boxing and the feel-good story. And the other part about Rocky 1, again, spoilers, is Rocky doesn't get the nod. He's not the guy in that film. He loses that first match. So to me, there's pieces that I like more in different films, and that's why Rocky 1 is where it is. Don't get me wrong. It's a fantastic film, and it did amazing things. It's just I'm picking my favorites here. And speaking of my favorites, we've got Rocky 3, which is available. Again, this is what I refer to as the Ultimate Collection. It's the Knockout Collection. It's the first 4 and the Drago cut. But Rocky 3 having the Thunderlip scene and I am blanking on Clubber Lang, that's his name. The Clubber Lang story, which is essentially Rocky getting clubbered, losing, picking himself back up, getting the help of Apollo Creed. In that story, you get to see a little bit too, I like in the beginning, of Rocky being the champion since he'd won in Rocky 2, and where his story goes, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I like a lot of the aspects of Rocky 3. I really do. More boxing, more story, more positive momentum in Rocky 3, and that's really why I enjoy it. Clubber Lang is a great villain without being cartoony, where we get into Rocky 4 with Ivan Drago. So that's why I rank Rocky 3 where I do. Number 2. So number 2 on the list is the first and the original Creed film, starring Michael B. Jordan and Sylvester Stallone. This is so good. It's odd, I'd heard this about this entire franchise and all these movies, but didn't hear about the Sylvester Stallone cancer plot of this, which tugs at your heartstrings, and it's fantastic, especially considering you're definitely involved. Your 6 films, this being the 7th, into this saga by now, in completing the Rocky saga with Rocky Balboa, and you get that part of this film, and also Michael B. Jordan's character and who he actually is, being Apollo Creed's son, and the bastardization of that is great. It's a really great, pull yourself up, Rocky 1, but in the current day film, and I just love Apollo. I love Creed. I really do. And if you hadn't guessed it by now, I'll show you here on this older MGM Blu-ray set, but my top favorite Rocky film is Rocky 2, which is available here. So Rocky 2, to me, is the epitome of the Rocky movies and what you want in a sports movie. It's a pull yourself up from nothing, rise to the challenge, defeat the enemy film. He's a little well known. The rumors of this, is it the Italian Stallion? I'm blanking on his name here, his nickname. But it's Rocky coming off of the really close, narrow decision loss to Apollo Creed, and they want to do it again. And hey, Rock, we need you to do it again. He needs to train again, and he's with Adrian at this point. And he has to go the distance. He has to go this. He has to beat Apollo Creed this time, and he does. And it's such a great moment. It's the first movie is great, and there's that crescendo, and you're just building to the fight to see if he can hold his own. But this one, you're building to the fight, and you want Rocky to get the nod. You want him to go over, and it's just done really well. I love Rocky 2. The moment when he wins in Rocky 2, even though you know it's coming, especially considering there's 9 of these films, it's so good, and it was genuinely fantastic the first time I watched it, and I will always love Rocky 2. So Rocky 2 is the epitome of the Rocky films in my opinion. I love Rocky 2. Again, all of these opinions, all 9 of them, are subjective. I would love to know your thoughts on the comments below. Maybe not your thoughts on my list. Don't pick apart, don't mean stuff. But I'd love to know your list. Go ahead and rank them. I always love to see them and understand them. And I'm just genuinely curious. So we'll have conversations and everything like that. So be sure to check out the reviews that have kind of been pinned in this video. You've got the Ultimate Knockout Collection, which just came out. You've got the Knockout Collection, which came out last year. And I've got a review up on Creed 3. So I've got reviews here and there. The biggest one is the Ultimate Knockout Collection, which I wanted to release simultaneously with this video. There were some lags on the distributor side. Doesn't matter. We're here now. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you'd like to support my channel in any way, I will have links in my descriptions to Twitter, Instagram, TV Time, and Letterboxd, where you do all the TV shows and movies I watch respectively. All of my rankings, including videos I haven't shot yet, are on Letterboxd, so go check them out. eBay page, Blu-ray.com page, my secondary and my tertiary YouTube channels. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you later, YouTube. Hey, did you like it? Did you subscribe yet? Did you click that notification bell? Go ahead and click that notification bell right there so you never miss anything on the channel. And also over here should be additional features for the channel. There should be a video or a playlist or both, maybe one of each, for you to stay informed and stay on the channel. And also be sure to subscribe on your way out right about here.